today's YouTube video, we're going over the top 5 meta SMG loadouts you guys need to be using. If you're going to enjoy, make sure you guys give it a like, subscribe, notifications turned on, and let's hop into it. All right, first gun we're taking a look at here is going to be the Striker. This is a top tier meta SMG you guys need to be using. So first attachment is going to be the sonic suppressor on this thing. This is going to help us keep us off the radar, increase our bullet velocity and damage range. This is one of those guns that where we can extend out the range, and it can almost be a little bit better than the WSP Swarm outside that 6+ meter range. So if you guys are using an SMG outside that range, you will be taking people out that do have that Swarm being when you have this setup. So definitely recommend to run this exact one. So that sonic suppressor first attachment. Now we're gonna go and throw on the Striker Elite Long Barrel, which is gonna help us out that aiming auto sway, recoil control, gun kick control, and of course bullet velocity and range. We normally speaking don't run a super long barrel on our SMGs, but for this one in particular, it actually greatly benefits from doing so. So that's why we have that on there. You guys need to be running this. Like, it makes the gun so much better. Now we're actually gonna go down here. We're gonna throw on the 48 round mag. This is kind of a little bit more interchangeable with the 60 round drum and the 48 round mag. You guys could realistically go for the 60 round drum and that'd be perfectly fine. But for my preference, I think the Striker, because it doesn't have a super high crazy fire rate, the 48 round drum is perfectly fine for me. So you guys should definitely try this one out here. And if you feel like you need more ammo, go for the 60, but otherwise you guys will be perfectly taken care of. Now we're gonna go on back here, throw on the SOC and ZX grip just to kind of help us out that recoil control and everything like that. I mean, the gun will bounce around a little bit because of our final attachment, so that's why we have this on here, and it makes the gun super easy, super controllable, very easy to be able to use. And you guys will see this when you put it to the test in your gameplays, that it is very much so easy to use and a very fast TTK gun. Now for the last attachment, you go throw on the no stock attachment, which is kind of why we have that SOC and ZX grip on there, because I mean, with the no stock, everyone knows that when you throw on a no stock attachment, you're going to greatly reduce its overall controllability. By having that barrel on there, having the rear grip on there, and also the suppressor, we can kind of mitigate some of the cons we would get from the stock, which is just pretty much, you know, gun kick control and stuff like that. And we can really just focus on the pros, which is making this thing super fast. And that's what we really like. So you're gonna be able to just absolutely dart around corners, be super fast with it, and you're gonna have great recoil control and a great TTK. So this is my full build right here. Definitely try this one out. The Striker is a badass SMG. Next up, we're gonna be getting in here to talk about the WSP Swarm. Since I figured I mentioned with the Striker, let's give you guys a build here for this. That is a top meta build. So we have the WSP Optic Long Barrel. Give us the gun kick control and recoil control, something you guys definitely need to focus on here with this gun, because it has a lot of ammo and it's got a super high fire rate, but it does have some recoil that we have to be able to understand and take control of. So this is gonna help us out with that. Speaking of recoil, we're gonna go down here and control it a little bit more with that Bruin Heavy support grip. So this right here never gets used on SMGs short of the WSP Swarm. The reason because is that this thing has a decent amount of that vertical recoil, which will make it almost sometimes unusable depending on the setup you have. It'll be very jiggly iron sights. It's not fun to use, so we're really gonna just absolutely stabilize this, gonna make it very easy to be able to use and absolutely dominate with. So we have that on there. Now we're gonna go down, throw on the 100 round drum. This is what I've been kind of leaning towards here a lot recently, is having the 100 round drum, especially because I'm basically exclusively playing quads. So because I'm not playing solos, something like that, I mean, if you want to play solos, throw on the 50 round mag. Even if you're playing quads, you can technically get away with the 50 round mag, but also something to take note of is that sleight of hand or fast hands doesn't impact the WSP Swarm that much. You only get about a 10% boost. So having that 50 round mag on there, you can sometimes feel like you don't have sleight of hand when you really should be able to reload faster. So having that 100 round on there makes it a little bit more worth it to run this gun and still to have fast hands and stuff on there on your loadout. So definitely recommend for you guys to run this. Now we're gonna go up in here. We're gonna run the MK3 reflector, and what this is gonna do, apart from making it easier to be able to see people, is you're not really gonna get nearly as much that muzzle flash in your sights as you would if you're using the iron sights. So while you could definitely go in and let's say swap this out for like a VLK laser 7MW if you want to be a little bit faster, which is something I personally have done and definitely do right now. I kind of always alter my builds to see what, you know, fits me, but you guys should definitely try this one out here. I mean, the MK3 reflector on this exact build works beautifully and I recommend it. And then lastly, we're throwing the FSS Fortress heavy stock here just to kind of really stabilize the gun a little bit more so. And you really don't feel those cons of it actually slowing you down. So just kind of keep in mind when you throw this thing on here, you're going to be absolutely demolishing people. 100 rounds, very low recoil, almost pretty much laser beam. You got great mobility. It's overall a fantastic SMG. It's pretty much like the #1 meta SMG in Warzone right now. So this is my full build right here. definitely try this one out. It is a banger. All right, next up, we're taking a look here at the ISO 9mm, not the ISO 45, the ISO 9mm. So this is definitely the better of the two ISOs, and this is my favorite gun when I find on ground loot to be able to pick up because it is so unbelievably good. It's got that 50 round mag. It's super easy to be able to use. But this is our, full loadout build for it. So first thing, we have the Shadow Strike suppressor on here, just trying to keep us off the radar. That's really all we care about. We're not trying to extend out the range. We don't care about that like we did for the Striker. This is only about keeping us off the radar. Now we're gonna go up in here, throw on the 7EX Raptor V2 barrel, which is gonna make us more mobile. This is definitely the best one in here. I've tried a few of these other ones, much like, I've tried the 9PTX Trainer. That one's a pretty good one, but definitely this one works out significantly better just because we're really trying to bolster our overall ability to move around, and this will definitely be able to do that. Now we're gonna go throw on the DR6 hand stop, and while this is an under barrel, it should control the recoil. All it's doing is basically speeding us up, giving us that increase in walking speed, ADS speed, sprint to fire speed, and movement speed. You guys definitely want to be using this one. I mean, it's such a solid attachment to run on guns that have very little visual recoil and also just general recoil in the first place. So that's why we got that on there. We're gonna go down here, of course, throw on the 50 round drum. I mean, we got to make use of it having a 50 round magazine, so definitely have to throw that on there. Otherwise, you got like 30 rounds, which is definitely not acceptable when you're trying to make a loadout gun. It's really not even acceptable for a basic ground loot weapon. It always sucks picking up one of those because you're only gonna get maybe maximum one down, and even then you have to reload to finish the person off. So it sucks like that, but that's why we had that drum on there. And lastly, we're gonna throw on the Demo Fade Tac stock, which can help us out that aim walking speed and sprint speed, making us overall a little bit faster. You could also try out the Res 2, which is something I've tried out as well, which kind of bolsters a little bit more of the mobility. But keep in mind, you will lose a little bit more recoil and stuff like that. So the Demo Fade is really solid, and you only lose a little bit of aiming idle sway, which is something we're not concerned with at all. So that's why I've got that on there. But this is my full build here for the ISO 9mm. You guys for sure want to try this one out here. It is a super good SMG. Next up, we're taking a look here at the Uzi, aka the WSP9. This is an SMG that is not really being used a whole lot, in terms of it in the meta, but it's actually insanely good. Like, it is a meta SMG. People just kind of stick to using the Swarm and the Striker because they're more earlier unlocks than this gun. But here's a banger setup for it. So first attachment, Shadow Strike suppressor, just trying to keep us off the radar as we did with the previous loadout. So that's all we're trying to do here. That's really all we need it for. Now we're gonna go up in here, throw on the Hiss short light barrel, which is gonna increase our ADS speed, sprint to fire, and sprint speed, making this gun very easy to be able to use. And I'm really happy that when you combine this barrel with the Shadow Strike, you're not losing any sort of bullet velocity, range, stuff like that. You're only losing a little bit of recoil control, which is something we're not really too worried about. Now we're gonna go down here and throw in the XRK Edge BW-4 hand stop, in walking speed, movement speed, ADS speed, and sprint to fire speed. Once again, bolstering this gun much like we did for the barrel. This is just gonna help us make us more mobile. Now we're gonna go down here and throw on the 40 round mag, which is really awesome. You guys could definitely throw on the 50 if you want to, but because it's not a super high fiery gun, you don't necessarily need the 50. But hey, if you want to go run that 50, you're more than welcome to. It's not going to slow you down too much in comparison to the 40. So just kind of keep that in mind. I mean, it will technically, if you look at the cons here, it goes the double red arrows as opposed to the one, but I mean, it is definitely super solid. Now we're gonna go up in here. We're gonna throw on the VOK Laser 7MW. This is just to kind of speed us up and also stabilize the gun. I used to run this on a lot of my MW2 builds, but this is what we got it right here for. So that is my full build right there for the WSP9. Give that one a try. This is a super good gun that nobody's really using. Lastly, I want to throw an MW2 gun in here that is actually insanely good, but no one's using it as well. And even less than the WSP9, that's going to be the Vel 46. So I've been finding this on the ground for ground loot, and it's really solid as ground loot, but you don't see too many people making, Modern Warfare 3-ified, setups, basically using the MW3 attachments on this gun for a good loadout. So here's a great loadout for you guys. Shadow Strike suppressor, keeping us off the radar. That's all we need it for. Now we're gonna go down here, throw on the SL Skeletal vertical grip, just really bolstering our ADS speed, vertical recoil control, gun kick control, and sprint to fire speed. This gun doesn't have too much in terms of the horizontal, so we're not really too concerned with that. We're just really trying to mitigate that vertical because it will bounce around a little bit, but by the time aim assist kicks in, everything like that, you're gonna be fully taken care of. Now we're gonna go down and throw in the 4.6 hollow point rounds, which is gonna make it so that people really can't run away from you. It kind of disables their sprinting. So it is very, very useful when you're trying to track people down, trying to run at people. I've gotten hit by hollow point rounds before and it absolutely sucks. And that's kind of more of like a Modern Warfare 2 gun thing where people run the hollow point rounds where they, they cripple you. That is definitely an MW2 thing because we really don't do that for any of these MW3 SMGs, but we do this gun in particular. Skipping over the magazine, going straight on back to that rear grip. And by the way, if you want to take out those hollow point rounds, it's not like, necessary for the build. You can throw in a magazine if you really want to, but that'd be the one thing you should interchangeably swap out if you're trying to go for a magazine as opposed to taking the base 40 round mag. Speaking of this next attachment, though, we have the ZLR combat grip for gun kick control and recoil control. Very good. It makes this gun a little bit more stable. That's all we really need it for. And lastly, we're gonna go throw on the demo RTX stock, which is gonna kind of help move our mobility up a little bit more so for that crouch movement speed, sprint speed, and ADS speed. Fantastic, fantastic attachment. It's also not like the clap stock where you're gonna get a ton of gun kick control and stuff like that, where you're gonna lose all of that. We definitely don't want that. The demo RTX works out beautifully, and this is a banger setup for the Vel 46. That's been my top 5 SMGs. If you guys enjoyed, give it a like, subscribe with notifications turned on, check out this other video on screen, and I'll see you guys all next time.